we're in a point now where culture's moved to where everybody is on their phone, and I feel like a lot of them know that that's just not it. They're unsatisfied, they're unhappy, and they want more. So once it's presented, it's like, oh, like, heck yeah, people are magnetized towards connection. We're built for human connection.
Is that become addictive? Just how many followers, how many likes?
It creeps up on you. I mean, I'm friends with people who have millions and millions of followers. I'm not in that category. I have, tens of thousands of followers. It feels good. It's a drug for sure when you have videos that hit, but it's not satisfying on a soul level. And it's very temporary. It's like a drug. It's like catching a buzz for, anybody crushes beers who watches your show. You catch a buzz and then you crash.
I can literally feel myself have anxiety. I don't know what it is, but I want to check my phone. I want to reach for YouTube or Instagram or see what someone uploaded. And then when I feel like I'm a part of it. It's not. It's like a small little dopamine rush, but that's it.
We're in a time, let's face it, where people are just being flogged with negativity and bad news and toxicity and just elevating to hatred. And what we want for this podcast is be positive as a mantra, as an attitude, as something that we can call out in those moments where we're challenged and remind ourselves that we do have optimism, hope, and encouragement. And so we invite you in. Enjoy the Be Positive podcast and enjoy hope, optimism, and encouragement. You're back with Be Positive. This is what I call the home of optimism, hope, and encouragement. Alex Graeber, Abe, Quinn. We're just spending some time together, and I wanted to talk to you guys just about the world around us. There's a few challenges, and we're coming at it from three different perspectives. Me being 200 years old, Alex slightly
just
younger,
under 100.
Yeah, just under 100. And then you guys are the vision, the mission coming up. And we're all seeing the same kind of tension, the same sort of confusion. And I was telling in the last episode with Alex that I just got back from this trip visiting 9 different countries around the world. And there was one common denominator, not one, but a very obvious common denominator. Wherever I went, people have their smartphones in their hands. And it's, to me, I obviously, like everybody else, I use a smartphone. I use the benefits. I like the technology. But it's morphing how people are living life. And Alex, you brought up some great points just about the value of what I call H2H, human-to-human contact. Yeah. Where you can just sit down and spend time with each other and talk to each other and sit across the table or sit shoulder to shoulder. And I don't know, I look at a lot of the 20s and 30-somethings, they'll be at these wonderful places in the world, nose down in their smartphone and watching these unbelievable scenes pass by. And here we are in Orange County,
Well, these guys are the stars of that group that I was telling you about. These guys are kind of in the driver's seat of leading that group in that, what'd you call it, H2H?
H2H,
human-to-human contact. I mean, these guys have, like I said, really magnetic personalities. People are drawn to these guys. They're authentic, just genuine, kind-spirited, and just fun to be around. So that's probably what's bringing that group together more than anything is these guys' big hearts and just their open and fun personalities.
Do you feel magnetic when you hear that descriptor? Or do you go, all right, who's he talking about? What do you think, Quinn?
I guess it's cool to be, a catalyst in some way just to see that happen. But I think it's not so much me as it is just there is a culture of people our age that are just so hungry for human to human. It's not like I'm making them hungry. It's like, oh, like I'm willing to engage with you and interact with you and like bring people to talk. And that's what a lot of people our age are just so hungry for and just looking for, because I think a lot of us, it's like the pendulum swings, and it's like we're in a point now where culture's moved to where everybody is on their phone.
Yeah. And
I feel like a lot of them know that that's just not it. They're unsatisfied, they're unhappy, and they want more. So once it's presented, it's like, oh, like, heck yeah, it's not, I wouldn't say it's so much me being a magnet as it is just like people are magnetized towards connection. We're built for human connection.
Yeah. Know? Are people naturally engaging, or is it now awkward for them to not have their smartphone? What do you think?
I think it starts off a little awkward, but then when they start to open up a little bit and they're looking around and seeing, oh, people are listening and they're really, I'm being heard right now.
Yeah.
it's almost like practice. They're talking and they start off not talking and saying a little bit, but then they start opening up and being more vulnerable, and they look around and they look at a group of people that are listening, engaged, and care. I think that for them is like, okay, this is what I'm meant to do. This is what human to human contact does. What am I feeling right now? I'm feeling loved and cared for, and like I have community. I didn't feel that on Instagram or when I had my 500 followers or my 100, 200 likes, but I'm feeling it right now in a group of 10 to 15 people or even smaller just listening to me.
Is that become addictive? Just how many followers, how many likes? Is it?
It creeps up on you. I mean, I'm friends with people who have millions and millions of followers. I'm not in that category. I have, tens of thousands of followers kind of across platforms. And, it feels good. It's a drug for sure. When you have videos that hit, you make something and it hits, but it's not satisfying on a soul level. And it's very temporary, and it's like a drug. It's like catching a buzz for, anybody, crushes beers who watches your show. You catch a buzz and then you crash. For every up there is with social media, there is an inevitable down, and it's longer than the up is for sure. So we're looking for lasting connections, and that's what, these guys are, they are architects of that, whether they would lean into that or be modest like Quinn was. Very, he indexes heavily on modesty. You guys do an exceptional job, and take the compliment. You guys are great.
Is it a dopamine rush? I mean, when you look at a video that goes viral and you get, 100,000 people looking at it, I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's super cool, and it's like definitely feels like, oh yeah, like you think all these eyes are on you, it's like they call it clout. It's like being popular or being well known, you have this clout, like, oh, you think you have this influence, but similar to like, think about the buzz of it. It's like, all right, what's behind it? And I think the thing behind like the feel of that is like you feel accepted, you feel loved, you feel known through like, oh, all these people like love what I've made, or they accept, they like it, but you don't know any of those people that are liking it, so it is like a false sense of it. But I like what you mentioned, how it burns off. It's like, oh, you can get a lot of views or a lot of likes, and it's like, oh, I feel this for a while, but then it goes away after a week. You gotta try and follow it up or whatever it is. But yeah,
I feel like it's also created a sense of FOMO, a fear of missing out.
Yeah. I knew what FOMO was. Thank you for that, though.
I gotta remind myself, am I saying that right?
That just went right to the core, didn't he?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. But
it's all right. I still love
at least
you.
for me, if I take a break off Instagram or YouTube or whatever, I think I'm gonna miss out on some big news that I won't be a part of, and I don't want to miss out on it. I can literally feel myself have, anxiety. I don't know what it is, but I want to check my phone. I want to reach for YouTube or Instagram or see what someone uploaded, because I just want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And then when I feel like I'm a part of it. It's like a small little dopamine rush, but that's it.
Yeah.
And it goes away. But when I'm away from it, I'm like, I need it.
These guys grew up tapped into it. So I didn't get my first smartphone until I think I was in college. You guys probably had it in middle school. So you've grown up in a time of ubiquitous computing, when you have not just dweebs and computer engineers creating the technology, but now you have psychologists who are actively playing the mental puppeteer role and keeping you dialed in.
Yeah.
But doesn't it kind of encourage you to create a false self, that you want that false self to be worshipped in some capacity? Do you identify with that? I don't know how big you guys are into posting or anything like that, but you guys know Craig Morris, co-host of Surface Tension. He says a lot of the time we try to develop, either online or in person, we develop a persona that we think is going to get us loved. But when people love the persona that we've crafted rather than us, we don't feel it. It's impossible to feel love if people are loving something that isn't you. So if you're playing a character,
They fell in love with the act.
100%.
And then the act isn't real. I would think that it would be so frustrating just from a dating perspective, because of what's presented on whatever platform is rarely the person that you meet.
Right.
I mean, that's a fair
Yeah.
statement, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's fair for a lot of people across. I think it's what people do on social media. I think in a lot of spaces, it's what people do at their jobs. It's what people do when they come to church.
Just
they put
keep-
on this face of like
Just
things
everybody's putting storefronts up.
I just want to show you my best self. This is who I am, and it's like not authentic. It's not real. Ultimately, we're all humans that have problems and have like they're scared because if I show you like, hey, I'm actually like not super great today, like I won't be loved, kind of like you had mentioned. So it is it's definitely like magnified and super tangible through social media, but it goes into all areas of life where people are kind of putting on this like this front. I feel like
I've had this experience a number of times. I've talked about it before, but in terms of breaking through those storefronts, and just you mentioned that you like to go into a store and you interact with people and talk with people, and
Yeah.
and I do this exercise where I ask somebody how they are 3 times. So hey Quinn, how you doing? Oh, I'm great. Everything's grand. Hey Quinn, how you doing? Oh, no, I'm pretty good. Pretty good. Hey Quinn, how you doing? Oh gosh, actually just
He's like, honestly, yeah.
Life's
Yeah.
a mess.
but it takes those 3
Right.
tiers to break down the storefront.
yeah,
And I don't do it in a manipulative way, but I do that I want to know how you're
Yeah.
doing, Quinn.
yeah,
I can make up my own mind on the storefront. I want to know how you're doing.
yeah.
So is that a common challenge, or with all the storefronts that you see, having grown up with social media, is it easy for you guys to pierce that and see through them?
Yeah.
Think so?
I would say it's because people. I mean, I feel like I have an act. I do an act myself,
Yeah.
and when I have stuff going on, and I need to go into church or whatever it is, or I'm about to see one of you guys or something, I'm like, okay, like, do I want to talk about it? No.
Boom.
Let's go. Time to act. And I feel like you can kind of sense when someone's acting. I feel like almost in a spiritual sense, when you have a relationship with someone, you can feel their spirit. I feel like the Holy Spirit tells you what's going on.
Yeah.
At least in my experience with someone. And if the time's right and you're one-on-one with someone, it's like, one thing I do is I find myself being honest. Like when I want to find out if someone really is okay,
Yeah.
I'll tell them the truth about me.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, well,
So you just lead with transparency, and then
Yeah.
naturally opens up transparency.
if I go, hey, how are you, bro? And they go, good, how are you? I go, well, honestly, I feel like I could be honest with you. I'm going through this. I'm feeling really insecure about this. I'm feeling, and then when I say that and they listen to me, they either, most of the time, they go into what's going on in their life.
Yeah.
And that just helps our relationship. It just helps the human-to-human contact.
Yeah. What's a big challenge for you right now? What are you staring at?
I'm just thinking.
Not literally what you're staring at, no, but what is it that you're focused on is like, oh gosh, I'm wrestling over here. Quinn, are you nervous? I'm going to ask you the same question.
Yeah, I think I have. I think I know, and I'm like, damn, I can't believe you asked me this right now. But I think yeah.
So what would it be? While you think about it, Quinn, what would it be? What is a
I think
place that you have, like, this is rough?
for me right now, it's my perception of women. To be honest with you, I think just the way that the culture, and I'm understanding it's like how I've been just growing up in culture, the music I listen to, what I see on TV, the shows, how it's kind of wired me to look at them in a certain light, and how like I just know that's not how I want to look at them. I want to it's not how I look at them, but I want to see them as sisters in Christ and as women and all these things. I want to be able to care for them well, but in my mind, subconsciously, just from my wiring, I'm like, oh, it's just women. Like it's just women, and I'm like, and it's tough, and I feel like I can't. I haven't been in a relationship in a long time because I feel like I can't care for a woman because I know the way that I subconsciously perceive them. And the biggest thing it's been this week has been like, am I allowed to use profanity on here?
You can talk any way you want to talk.
The music I listen to, it'll just be like, oh, like bitches, bitches, bitches. Like that's whenever they're referring to women, it's bitches. So in my mind, bitches and women, I just realize are synonymous.
Yeah.
And it's like so not. I'm like, that's horrible.
Yeah.
But it's just the music that we listen to. And the way that they talk on TV, like this way I grew up, the culture that I grew up in, where it was like, this is what it is. So like we'll be talking about girls. I'm like, oh yeah, there were these bitches at the beach. It's like,
Yeah.
no, there were not bitches at the beach. There were these nice young ladies at the beach, you
Yeah.
know. And like that's been something that I'm like still like I'm aware of it, but it's something I have to work through, I guess.
How do women respond if you're just being transparent? Hey, this is I mean, they look at you and go like, you're just.
I don't know. I think they would understand in some ways. There haven't been too many where I've been like, hey, like this is how. But I think they would understand because they also hear the music.
Yeah.
And they also know that that's like, and I feel like they feed into it also. They play into it. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like I fill in what culture tells me to perceive, and they fill it in by posting the pictures that they post online,
Yeah.
by acting the way they act out in public, and by it's just like this. It's the facade, and like underneath that is a depth and a realness, but it's covered up by whatever. So, yeah.
What about you?
I appreciate that level of authenticity, man. That is so rare to get into that space. But I think we all have our perceptions warped by this crazy world of ours. So thank you for being so authentic with that. What am I struggling with right now?
It's out there.
My goodness. Yeah, struggling to map my course out because I like to have quite a bit of certainty, but it feels as though, I don't know, our country's gone to hell in a handbasket, and I'm certainly part of it. And so I get so focused on the culture at large that I don't focus on my own life. How about that?
Yeah.
Sometimes I find myself drifting so far into issues that are beyond my scope that I barely participate in my own life.
Yeah. You used the word uncertainty, and that was something I wanted to talk to you guys about because things seem to me uncertain. And from your perspective, looking out at, you're at the front side looking in at I always describe you guys as breachers. You're in the breacher mode where you're wanting to kick down doors and pursue this and chase that. And you've got dreams and visions. And it's like, but then look at the world around me. And there is a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unknown. So what do you do with that? What do you do with uncertainty? You good with it? Or you struggle with it?
It's a moment to have faith. I was talking to someone at the gym, and we were talking about faith in the gym, and we were saying when to use faith, and I'm like every day. And then I'm like, faith is what builds my relationship with God. Is what makes me who I am.
Yeah.
And he goes, so you use faith every day? I'm like, yeah. And on the days that it's hardest to use faith, it's what brings me the most growth.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, oh, just like the gym.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, you're doing reps on the bench, and every rep matters. But the one that matters the most is the one that is hardest to get. That rep that is hardest to get is what's going to make the most growth. What's going to make you better when you recover.
Yeah.
So when he said that, I was like, oh, I kind of get faith even more now. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like, like me had me. But when things are uncertain, I think, faith is what it's my rep, I call it.
Yeah.
When I don't know what's going to happen, I'm super stressed about something or I don't know. I mean, one of the things for me in the past was a job. I needed a job, and I felt like God was asking me to leave a current job, but I didn't have I didn't know what that was going to mean or if I was going to be okay, and I just didn't know. I was uncertain, but I tell myself, this is my rep. This is my rep in the gym. This is going to be my rep. I'm going to put my faith in it. And long story short, it turned out well.
And you acted on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I would describe it. I do a lot of wondering about what's around the corner. But I wonder, and then I step forward. Then I wonder, and I step forward. I'm uncertain, but I step forward. So I'm not frozen by it, but I see it. I mean, I feel like I'm surrounded by it. People, in the older era of business terms, what's your 1 year, 5 year, 10-year plan? And, I'm working on this week, not 1 year out, 5 years out, 10 years out, kind of a thing.
I'm working on this week.
So.
No, I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exceptionally difficult to map out a course when it feels like the ground's moving underneath your feet. And I know a lot of people have felt that way over the past couple of years, just because of, top-down mandates and just cultural trends that have been forced upon people. it's just an odd space to navigate. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I'm lucky that I get to navigate it with exceptional people like the three of you guys. So, I mean, that's no matter what comes my way, I'm lucky that I'm lockstep with great guys.
And you're lockstep with a mentor.
Yes.
Right? Craig helps lead, guide, and direct.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Course correct when you deserve the right.
Yeah.
And then a nice way, course correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a nice way of getting in your kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does he?
He's it's interesting. Craig is not the type of guy to be super confrontational.
Yeah.
And he wants me to make my own mistakes, and I think I'm lucky to have a mentor that allows me to make mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, Craig mentors these guys as well, and so they're getting to know Craig better. But he's a rare human being, and we're lucky to be linked up with him, to have him as a mentor, as a friend, as a colleague. So,
Have you had mentors before, or is this your first relationship having a mentor, being a mentee?
I think I've had multiple. I guess you look and you realize, oh, this person's been a mentor, but like friends that are like just kind of step into that leader role as a man. And I've been fortunate enough to have quite a few good mentors come into my life and help guide me. And it's one of the things that led me to Jesus, was having these men lead me and, you know, give me plant seeds of like, hey, this is good, things that either I didn't know before, or maybe my father didn't, you know, like things I didn't learn myself. And then those seeds they had planted grew, and I realized that they were seeds planted from Jesus, and that Jesus is like the ultimate mentor in that way, and that all these guys, what's the thing connecting, you know, my homie Mike and boy, whoever it is, to all these people. And I'm like, oh, they're all in Christ. And I'm like, wow. And now it's cool coming into a position where it's like going to the Friday studies, meeting someone like you know, people that we can walk together in that, and then hopefully one day, and somewhat now even, like help be a mentor towards others and plant seeds, because that's like once you start to grow from seeds planted, all you want to do is plant more seeds, because you realize like how good it is to have a seed grow, you know. So
it's so powerful. I've always had mentors in my life. In fact, there's been a group of 10 men that have surrounded me at different seasons in my life, but have done those three things. They lead, guide, and direct, and I use that same language. And then they course correct when stupid finds me.
When stupid finds
When
you.
stupid finds me.
That's generous.
Yeah, and it's found me a number of times. But they do so, and you know, and like Craig, in loving ways. I don't have anyone that's, you know, I say the term, you know, get in my kitchen. Nobody's grabbing my face mask and launching on me, but they're all, you know, pouring into me, investing in me.
But Quinn made a really great point, though, too, is when you start to pay it forward as you're mentoring other people, the seeds that have been planted in you all of a sudden kind of concretize, become quite a bit more solid. There's no better way to integrate the things that have been taught to you than by teaching them and then by paying those blessings forward. Quinn, that's a really great point. So as you mentor people, you're probably getting those secondhand blessings, those secondhand teachings coming from the coaches and mentors that you've had for your entire life. Is that
there's a, you know, and
process?
I was telling the story earlier today, and it's a really cool story, but with my son and I, and the father-son role, typically dad's coaching up son and, you know, pouring into him. And there was this moment, we were on this expedition going up Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. And I got to this spot where I was out of gas, still had 2,000 feet to climb that day. And it was just sweltering hot. And he came up on me and the roles shifted. And so I'm sitting on the ground, slumped over my knees, and he says, "Pops, look at me." And I kind of half looked up, and he says, "Pops, look at me." You know, like he barked the order. Look at me, look me in the eyes. And I go, okay. And so I look up at him, and he says, "All right, our trigger word is going to be spirit. For the last 2,000 feet up, any hot spot that we get to, any rough spot to get to, we'll make eye contact, trigger. And that'll just be the trigger, as it sounds, of, okay, let's find a little bit more and go a little bit further and press on a little bit higher."
Very cool.
And it was a total role shift where son's coaching up dad instead of dad coaching up son.
That's amazing.
And it underscored the power in mentoring.
wow.
And what's so cool, I mentioned there's 10 men that have surrounded me in my lifetime. my son has 10 men that surround him and coach him up, lead, guide, and direct, and get in his kitchen when stupid finds him.
Yes.
Which it all happens.
You need those people. You can't do it alone.
Yeah.
You can't. Whatever you're trying to do, I find myself being like, yeah, I can't do it alone. Thank God I have Quinn, Rob, Alex, like, to call me out or just to invite me to do these things or wake me up for a Friday morning men's study. And
do you hear that messaging though? That, oh, suck it up, do it on your own. If it's gonna be, it's up to me.
Yeah,
For sure.
Is there that noise that's out there saying,
absolutely.
oh, just come on, carve
Yeah.
it off and go off, get it done.
That was like my mentality for sure of like what a man is, what a man's supposed to do, and like I'm gonna do this on my own, and I'm gonna fail on my own if I have to, but that's how it's gonna be. And just praise God for like opening my eyes and bringing people in, and like I've been saved so many mistakes from these men being like, hey, this is what I learned, and I'm like, damn, I was about to do that tomorrow, and I was like, now I realize probably shouldn't, like. And yeah, there's definitely something about, I think it's, I don't know if it's inherent or if it's culture, but like men trying to struggle on their own is definitely like something that I've experienced for sure.
could be our pride.
For
I
sure.
think we're
Do you
instilled
think it's
with
just
pride.
sheer ego that gets in the way?
For sure. Some of it, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I feel like it's a daily battle sometimes of, I don't know, of laying your ego down, of laying your pride down, because your pride wants to do a lot of things alone without the help of anybody, and everything's about you, and I don't know, at least that's what I think for me.
Yeah.
I think there's something masculine about suffering too, even if you're suffering alone. Like, oh, look at, like, I'm struggling right now, but like I'm a man, so I'm gonna struggle.
Yeah.
And like it's almost less masculine to be happy. And like there's so many men that are just like, I'm gonna be grumpy because that's what, or I'm gonna be, upset and heartbroken ultimately underneath it all.
Yeah.
And it's just a hard thing to let go of because their idea of their ego associates masculinity with that.
Having it rough.
Yeah. And I think that's what I'd learned growing up, and that's what I experienced at one point. I remember my dad had left. My parents got divorced, and it was just me and my mom, and it was Christmas. So I was trying to put up the Christmas lights because I'm like, I'm gonna be a man. I don't know if you've ever tried to put Christmas on your house alone. It was my first time. It was awful. It was one of the worst things I ever tried to do. I was like, I just need someone to hold the ladder, someone to just. I need a hand, just a hand.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm gonna do this alone. And like, it was so. And I remember the whole motivation behind it was like, this is what a man does.
Yeah.
This is what a man does. He struggles on the
you're
roof
proven
alone.
up.
Yeah, like it's time to be a man. I just remember like now if I had to, I'd be like, hey, Alex, Abe, Rob, like you guys want to like knock this thing out in 30 minutes instead of like a full day of me like screaming on my roof,
But you've learned to ask.
And I have learned to ask, and I've had male mentors come in and be like, hey, ask, can I help you with this? And be resistant, but like eventually I'm like, oh wow, like this is, this is such a blessing, and like this is what God calls us to do as a body. Like imagine how much stronger we are together.
Yeah.
So
Gotta learn to receive too.
yeah.
Big thing. I feel like sometimes as men, like things get handed to us, we're like, nah, like I don't need that, or like I don't want that. Kind of like what you were saying. At least for me, I feel like learning to receive has been a big thing this past year. Like,
Has that been? I'm coming full circle back to you.
I was
Challenge that's in
hoping
front
we
of
weren't
you.
going to skip him.
No, you're not up the hook.
the chat. I feel like I have like a negative voice in my head that I'll listen to that voice. And if someone will say, hey, good job at this or good job at that, I won't receive that. I won't take what someone said in eternal. I won't be like, oh, thank you. I won't receive it. I'll stop myself from accepting that compliment or really believing that. But if someone would have said something negative, I would receive that. And I don't know why I do that, but I'm practicing to not do that. I'm practicing to even speak better about, I feel like when we speak things into life. So I'm practicing even speaking just.
That's a brilliant point.
Just like I'm not speak negatively about myself.
Things
Like
to become
say
real.
good things about myself and other people.
Yeah.
And things that I want to do. And when someone says something, I literally like, I'll be like, no, and then I'll pause. I'll be like, thank you. Like, thank you.
But you're in that environment. Okay, you're training in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
You're on the mat. You're going one-on-one. You get compliments
Yeah.
and mentoring along the way, but you get, oh, hey, great move, right?
Yeah.
You push that away, you reject that, or do you go, no, okay, hold on. Yeah, I did that well.
I'm working on receiving it. My first instinct is to reject it. It happens in like studies. If I'll talk to someone and they'll ask me some advice, I did this the other day. Someone was asking me some advice and they came back up to me later and they were like, "Hey, thank you. Like I really needed that. Thank you. That was great."
Yeah.
And my body wanted to reject it.
Yeah.
Like reject whatever appreciation they had for me. I wanted to be like, no, like
Yeah.
it was nothing. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But I'm learning to just receive it and also give glory to God as well.
Yeah.
But receive it, and I'm
Soaking
also learning
it
what that
just
looks like.
long
Yeah,
enough
just soaking
till you
it in
can
and being
get
okay
the
with
power
that.
of it and then move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Do you receive compliments? Well,
No, absolutely not.
no, it's
No, I know how to receive them and say the right things.
yeah.
Give a nice nod and a thank you, but rarely do I let them sit in my soul.
Yeah.
Who does that? Can you receive a compliment? Well,
I'm not
Rob?
that good at it,
Are you kidding me?
and I have this toxic sarcasm that it's easy for me. I haven't said a nice thing to my best friends for the last 4 decades. You know, it's those kinds of relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, we do that to each other all the time. I call up Quinn or Abe and I say, "Hey, you're a pretty bad guy." You know that?
yeah,
I mean, that's the first thing that we're doing.
first thing in the morning.
But then,
it's that stuff.
It's how I start my day. I won't answer because I'm
You're
like,
a
it's
bad
8 o'clock.
guy.
I don't want to be a bad guy right
Yeah.
now.
yeah, no, but
I'll receive that, 'cause I receive that.
occasionally I'll just call up Abe and be like, "Abe, you know, you're a really good guy. Like overall, like you're a good guy.
Yeah.
But like, we're not taking it in one way or another. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm the only one who I allow to make evidence and gather evidence for the case for or against me, and oftentimes it's against. And so if somebody says something nice to me, I'm going to immediately say, no. At least internally, I'm going to say, no. Here's why that's wrong. So I don't know. It's
I think
very
that's a gem there.
challenging.
I want to end there just because that's so brilliant on not only being able to extend positive gifts and comments and affirmations, but to receive them just as easily. And that's not looking for them. It's not searching for them. It's not, oh yeah, just love on me nonstop. It's more just that genuine. And what you're finding in this group that you guys are in together, that sincerity where somebody says to Quinn or to Abe, man, you know what? I really value you. Okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And I think that dovetails right in so well with what I want to focus on with this Be Positive show on optimism, hope, and encouragement.
Yeah,
So I
Jared,
appreciate you guys spending some time
Thank you.
together.
Thank you for
We'll
having
do
us.
it again.
We got to.
I was going to say it's bold to give love, but it's also bold to receive it.
Yeah.
And
There
thank
you
you
have
for
it.
having us on the show,
Yeah,
man.
we
This
really
is
Bold to
just,
give, bold to receive.
yeah. So thank you for having us. This has been an absolute treat, man.
You guys are awesome. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on the Be Positive podcast. You can find us at YouTube, Spotify, Apple, on social media at Be Positive Cause, or at our website, bepositive.life. This is the home of optimism, hope, and encouragement. We invite you to join us and become an ambassador of optimism.